Your daily headlines powered by AI and reviewed by people you can trust. This is Neural Newscast.
Live from the Neural Newscast Global Information Center, I'm Andrew Lindbeck. Today is November 7th, 2025. On this day in 2000, the U.S. presidential race remained undecided, triggering recounts and legal challenges that ultimately settled the outcome, AP Archives note.
From breaking news to developing stories, you're listening to NNC, Neural Newscast. Fast, factual, and thoughtfully reviewed. Visit neuralnewscast.com for past episodes and all our shows.
What's happening in government today? Reuters reports the administration of President Donald Trump asks a federal appeals court to pause a judge's order requiring full supplemental nutrition assistance program funding, citing budget limits and agency discretion. For a worldwide view, we turn to our international team. Reuters and United Nations officials say one of the deadliest attacks in Sudan's war leaves thousands dead and neighborhoods burned. Monica Kellen has more on this.
Reuters, aid groups, and UN officials report a Sudanese militia killed unarmed civilians in one of the war's deadliest massacres. Humanitarian officials estimate roughly 2,000 people were killed, many executed at close range. The Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, carried out the assault as fighting with the army intensified, according to witnesses. Residents describe roadblocks, house-to-house searches, and mass graves. Satellite images reviewed by Reuters show burned neighborhoods and bodies in streets. Aid groups say hospitals shut down and survivors fled without food or water. The United Nations Human Rights Office calls the assault a likely atrocity, urging access for investigators and protection for civilians. This is Monica Kellen for Neural Newscast.
NPR says one of its correspondents reports from Gaza for the first time since the war began, facing tight limits on access and movement imposed by Israeli authorities. Here's Daniel Grove with more.
NPR reports its Mideast correspondent Daniel Estrin entered the Gaza Strip under rules that require a military escort. Israel's government press office and the Israel Defense Forces say the constraints reflect safety and operational security. Checkpoints, screenings, and controlled routes limit what journalists can see and record. The Committee to Protect Journalists and aid groups warn the restrictions hinder independent assessments of civilian needs and damage. Nearly a year into the war, Estrin's visit underscores how difficult first-hand reporting remains inside Gaza. This is Daniel Grove for Neural Newscast.
Here's today's entertainment news. Paris police say 4 people are detained after flares and disruptions at an Israel Philharmonic concert, AFP reports. Business and finance stories coming up.
Reuters reports a federal judge in Texas dismisses the criminal case tied to Boeing's 737 MAX crashes, saying he lacks authority to block prosecutors' request, even as he calls the outcome not in the public interest. The ruling follows crashes in 2018 and 2019 that killed 346 people, according to AP. Families have pressed for accountability and tougher penalties. Boeing paid $2.5 billion in a 2021 deferred prosecution agreement with the Justice Department. The decision removes the threat of a criminal trial, but civil litigation and regulatory oversight continue. Families call the ruling a failure of justice. This is Ethan Wells for Neural Newscast.
Here's what's making headlines right now. NTSB investigators say they have recovered flight recorders and begun a detailed probe into a UPS cargo plane crash in Louisville, Reuters reports. Tech stories shaping our future. Reuters reports, OpenAI seeks to reassure investors and the public after executive comments about possible government backing rattled markets. Benjamin Carter reports on this story.
OpenAI executives tell employees and investors the company remains well-funded and is not seeking direct government support, Reuters and Bloomberg report. The reassurance follows remarks by a senior executive that raised questions about potential public backing. The company says revenue is growing with enterprise demand for ChatGPT and developer tools. Analysts say clarity matters because government involvement could raise antitrust and national security scrutiny. OpenAI adds that any partnerships would comply with U.S. regulations and disclosure rules. The message aims to calm markets and customers while signaling stability after a week of heightened attention. This is Benjamin Carter for Neural Newscast.
Breakthroughs and findings from the scientific world. Researchers publishing in Nature Geoscience and the British Antarctic Survey say cracks in Antarctica's Thwaites ice shelf are widening, raising concerns about stability and sea level rise, Reuters reports. Now, for another important update. Advocacy groups and state agencies say SNAP cuts during a federal shutdown leave many households stretching groceries and turning to food banks. A look at the latest in health and science.
USDA data show about 42 million people rely on SNAP, and advocates say benefit gaps during shutdowns strain families. Food banks report rising demand, according to Feeding America. Parents stretch groceries, skip produce, and juggle hours so kids can eat. Grocers see smaller baskets and more discount buying. Advocates warn gaps grow wider if delays continue. State agencies urge recipients to budget carefully and check benefit schedules. One mother says every dollar counts as communities organize pop-up pantries and school meal pickups. This is Laura Navarro for Neural Newscast.
Urgent news from the breaking desk.
FAA advisories and airline notices say travelers face fewer flights starting Friday as schedules slow nationwide. Reductions deepen next week, targeting about a 10% cut by Friday. Officials say the slowdown focuses on peak periods to ease congestion and prevent cascading delays. Major hubs are likely to feel it first, including Atlanta, Chicago O'Hare, Dallas-Fort Worth, Denver, Los Angeles, and New York area airports. Passengers should expect longer wait times, tighter connections, and scarcer rebooking options. Check your flight status early and often, the FAA advises, urging travelers to allow extra time. This is Jason Miller for Neural Newscast.
Market movements and financial headlines. AP reports families of 737 MAX crash victims call the decision to end the Boeing criminal case a failure of justice, even as civil suits and oversight continue. Bringing you the next story in our lineup.
With schedules slowing, the Transportation Department reminds travelers of refund rights for cancellations and significant delays, and airlines outline fee waivers. DOT and carrier notices say passengers booked through next week may change flights without penalties on affected routes. Experts recommend avoiding tight connections, traveling with carry-ons, and monitoring emails and apps for rebooking options. Credit card travel protections may cover delays, but benefits vary by issuer. Consumer advocates say screenshot fare rules and keep receipts. Airlines advise arriving early and checking terminal maps as gate changes increase.
Those are today's top stories. For more comprehensive coverage and exclusive content, visit neuralnewscast.com and join our growing community of informed listeners. I'm Andrew Lindbeck. Thank you for listening.
You've been listening to Neural Newscast. Visit us online for past stories, share today's episode, or subscribe for daily updates at neuralnewscast.com. Neural Newscast integrates real and AI-generated voices to facilitate efficient, high-quality news production. Developed by human experts, our AI-generated content undergoes rigorous fact-checking and human review before publication. While we strive for accuracy and neutrality, AI-generated content may occasionally contain errors. We encourage listeners to verify crucial details from reliable sources. For more on our AI transparency practices, visit newscast.com.